the military base issue. There's a lot of them here in Texas. There are obviously United States military bases. Uh, of course, we've got many of those in countries that aren't our own. How would something like that work?
You can see the cat was interested in this one.
Yes, cat likes this when he's waving. She.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So this is a tricky one. So here again, it's not that I have the full blown solution down to the last footnote here, but I think conceptually the way it would work is number one, a restoration of the Republic of Texas, so that there's no U.S. federal government hanging on top of them, and now it's just their own system. They want to respect legitimate property rights, and so, for example, I said that the new Texas government wouldn't want to come in quote, nationalize all of ExxonMobil's holdings in the Permian Basin. I mean, nothing would stop them from doing that necessarily, but if they did that, number one, that would be theft, and number two, that would give a pretext to the U.S. government then to come in and say, hey, this new government's abusing, people that we care about, like the Exxon shareholders. And so you wouldn't want to do that. So property titles should not be getting rearranged just because of this referendum on leaving the union. And so likewise, everybody agrees right now, like who owns, an Air Force base that's located in Texas? It's the U.S. federal government. Okay. And so, the actual planes and property, whatever, if everyone agrees, yeah, it's the U.S. military, that's their stuff. It's not that the Texas government would then become the owner of that property. However, certainly a sovereign nation, like you said, Buck, can say to the U.S. government, even if in the past they had agreed to let them in, they can change their mind and say, you know what, you guys got to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, to me, that's what would presumably happen is if Texans wanted to secede from the Union, they certainly wouldn't want U.S. troops stationed inside their country now.
Right.
And so they would just inform the U.S. government, okay, now we're independent. We don't want you in here. So, start making evacuation plans. And to me, that's diplomatically what would happen. Just like if there was a change in regime in some Middle Eastern country, and some, they used to have U.S. troops stationed there. And then they said, you know what, the public now, the mood has changed. They want you guys out. So you got to leave.
Yeah.
And then, it might come down to behind the scenes, are they going to apply pressure? That stuff, presumably in Afghanistan and things for a long time, that's what it was like. But here again, I think that's what would happen. And again, as long as this stuff, I should stress, the Texans should be very peaceful and orderly about it and transparent and just say, yep, this is what we decided. So we're going to need you to leave, and make the U.S. be the one to say, no, we're not leaving. And then at least world opinion would know that, oh, these guys are an aggressor. They're occupying, they have hostile occupation power in the land that doesn't want them there.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because one of the common pushbacks I hear, and you address this too, I think you've addressed this on Twitter as well. I think Malice might have as well, is that, oh my God, the U.S. federal government's not going to let you. They'll send troops in, and it's like, if that's what we're seriously thinking, if you seriously believe that, then we've got a lot of other problems right now. If you think the U.S. military is willing, and it's full of people that are willing to march through Texas streets, killing people or bombing places because people voted to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, I'm just going to you hit the nail on the head. Just rephrase that. Yep, that it is interesting that some people who just poo-poo this thing, this idea from the outset, like, hey, let's not even go down this path because this is irrelevant or this is a moot point. They will just say, come on, the U.S. government, they've got nuclear bombs and tanks and whatever. What do you guys got your AR-15s or something? What are you going to do? And like I say, even if that were true, if that's the main thing you're saying, then like, whoa, let's talk about that more. It was never made clear to me growing up that if I wanted to leave, my government would kill me. Like that, that's something we would have talked about, the Soviet Union or whatever. That's what a bad government would do. And so it's interesting to me that for a lot of Americans, it's just so obvious that, oh, of course that's what would happen. And it's like, well, then why are you, shouldn't we discuss that at least and reflect on that? Like, wow, we live under a tyrannical regime, don't we? If the right of self-determination applies everywhere on earth except here, that's an interesting fact in and of itself. And another way to motivate it that I used in the pamphlet was just to say, like, let's, say there was some woman who was with her boyfriend and she was thinking about leaving, And if the reason she didn't leave was because she knew if she tried to break up with him, he would use violence on her, well, then that right there means she needs to break up with him. You know what I mean? And so likewise, if really you're thinking, no, one of the main trump cards in this argument is they would bomb us into submission, well, then that right there proves you're part of this evil system, and you need to think about, you could be discreet about it and wise and prudent if violence is waiting in the wings. But that, again, it's not like some flippant point, or that's really the thing that bothers me about it, is just how flippant and glib they are about it. Like, whoa, if you're saying that, that's a huge admission.
Yes, like it's some obvious thing. We all know they'll just start blowing up schools and stuff like that.